James, good afternoon to you. Sadiq Khan calling for cannabis to be decriminalised. It's not his choice, though. It's the Home Secretary. She says no.
Yeah, and I think that sort of sums up the kind of invidious position that the Metropolitan Police is put in, which, of course, is that every time we get a new Metropolitan Police Chief Commissioner, of course, they have to be appointed by both the Mayor of London and the Home Secretary. And so we have this weird position with policing in London. And I think it also comes down to the position of law as well. And so, of course, it does make it slightly all the more baffling that Sadiq Khan has spent so much time, effort, money and political capital investing in this when we, of course, know it's not going to happen. And, I think it does show again, perhaps, first of all, a failure to appreciate the kind of political setup in London. And second of all, an unwillingness to empathise with the political forces facing the Labour government. He's not going to do them any favours. And I think perhaps it's another saga in the ongoing tensions between Sadiq Khan and Keir Starmer's government.
Yes, a very interesting perspective there, both Labour, of course. I just want to take a look at what Dominic Cummings has been saying to Sky News. He is, of course, the former chief advisor to Boris Johnson, who then turned against him rather dramatically. He's saying that Kemi Badenoch could be toast within months. Let's see what Dominic Cummings has been saying to Sky News.
Kemi can't do it, obviously, but she'll be gone. But also, it's quite possible that the Tories have just kind of crossed the event horizon and actually aren't salvageable. Like, everyone sort of assumes that because they've always been around, then like somehow there must be at least one last chance for them to turn things around. But it's possible that that chance is actually in their past.
Do you think?
And doesn't exist.
Dominic Cummings there speaking to Sky News. He says Kemi Badenoch could be gone within months. James, you've got your finger in the pulse of the Conservative Party at the Spectator. What do you think?
I think that that is a minority view within the Conservative Party, but it is one that risks becoming increasingly mainstream. I think that there was an initially flat-footed response to the local elections, the shellacking, which was worse than anyone feared, publicly or privately. And I think that, this conference speech is going to be make or break for Kemi Badenoch. And I think that, there's going to be a lot of Tories who are pretty upset at how she's done so well, people who voted for her. And it's no surprise there that Dominic Cummings, of course, is leading that, given, of course, his outspoken criticism of the last Conservative government under Boris Johnson.
Do you think Rupert Lowe will end up as a Conservative MP? He was, of course, in Reform UK. He left that party. It was a big scandal and a lot of recrimination at the time. He's been talking to Robert Jenrick, we know. What's the latest there, do you think?
So I know that he's obviously spoken to a number of senior Conservatives. He has some who are sort of personal friends from many years ago. He obviously was snapped or was tweeted, I think it was, meeting Robert Jenrick last week. My sense is that he will not join the Conservative Party. I think that his comments have alienated some people who back Kemi Badenoch, some members of the newer intake. And I think that right now it might be more advantageous to the Conservatives to have him there as a sort of one-man band criticising Farage at every turn rather than welcoming him into their ranks and potentially importing some of the troubles that Nigel Farage decided were not worth his hassle.
There's a few other political stories around today, including Thames Water being fined £122 million, the biggest ever penalty. Tell us about that, James.
Yep, so this is the biggest ever penalty for the biggest water supplier in the country. And it comes after, a sewage overflow, the failure to keep it within line with sewage guidelines. And I think it's another example, Peter, of just how much of a sort of behemoth and burden Thames Water has been. We're talking just now about Reform. Reform have said that they should let the company go bust, buy it for £1 on the taxpayer. It was an issue, of course, that Sue Gray, the former Downing Street Chief of Staff, identified a year ago as one of the big issues facing the British state. What to do about water? It was one of those unpopular privatisations back in the late 1980s. It's obviously coming under increasing strain given all the different pressures on climate change. And it's going to be another example, of course, where the company will insist that this fine will be paid by them rather than the sort of people who have to pay for the services. But with an effective monopoly, there are going to be lots of cynics out there who say, look, my water bills keep going up. We don't see any improvement in services. They haven't maintained the infrastructure properly. Are we getting a bad deal from this?
And just one other thing, junior doctors demanding yet more pay, saying they're going to strike again. Will they ever be sated and just go to work and do the job we pay them quite a lot of money for after their 22% pay rise?
Well, we have an article in the Spectator today, don't pay the dangle, which is don't pay the bounty that's demanded by the doctors. I mean, look...
You'll never get rid of the Dane.
Absolutely, never will get rid of the Dane. And I think what's striking on this, Peter, is how public opinion has shifted. So last summer, I mean, about something like 55–60% of the public backed the then known as junior doctors. They're now rebranded as resident doctors. But now, actually, the public, by about sort of 10 points, is against giving them further sums because, of course, they got given a 22% pay rise under Wes Streeting's decision to give that without any reforms. They've been offered a further 5% one, and yet they're still going on strike. And I think the public can realise that their position is not as sympathetic as it once was. I would also make the point that, of course, they keep using this metric from 2008. Well, of course, that was after 15 years of inflation-busting pay rises. So there's a lot of politicking going on. I think the government is in a stronger position, perhaps, than some Labour MPs appreciate here. And actually, yes, it might lead to strikes, but also somewhere they've got to draw the line in the sand.
I also wonder if there are junior doctors who've become junior doctors since 2008. He will say, oh, well, I've only been a junior doctor for, 3 years, 5 years. I won't take the full rise. I think that would be an interesting one to probe somewhat. James, thank you. That's James Heal there, who's Deputy Political Editor of The Spectator. Clive in Solihull says, great show, Peter. In my opinion, whether Kemi Badenoch is still leader at the end of the year or at the next election is irrelevant. Whoever leads the Conservative Party is on a hiding to nothing. The Tories are a busted flush, and it will take a miracle for them to win an election. They spent 14 years betraying their voters and the country. And lots of other people in touch on cannabis. Danny says cannabis isn't a gateway drug to cocaine. Alcohol is the gateway to cocaine. Crystal says, as it is, it seems businesses can't stop someone from stealing a sandwich. What will it be like when cannabis dispensaries are all over the city? Regulation would be difficult, I'm afraid. Very, very good point there, Crystal. Thank you. Another person says the number of people who drive, even blatantly, smoking a spliff is going to go through the roof if cannabis is legalised. Also, I'm sick of putting my washing out to dry and bringing it in stinking of cannabis, says Jeremy in Berkshire. Stuart in Perthshire says, afternoon, Peter, I'm stunned that they tasered that old man when all he had was a butter knife. What has happened to our society? 30 years ago, when I was a young man, the police would have just walked up to him and disarmed him with little fuss. I think all the health and safety rules have made everyone, especially the police, so cautious they don't know how to do their job anymore. Jane says, some of us mentioned to you when Kemi became leader, Peter, that her job was to hold Starmer to account at Prime Minister's questions. She has failed. She was never going to be the leader in the long term. And just one more before the break. We're going to talk about Gaza and Israel and Mohammed Sinwar being eliminated by Israel in just a second with Colonel Richard Kemp. Joe in Colchester has been in touch to say the footage from the care home made me cry. It's disgusting. That definitely led to the poor man's death. Those 2 police constables should be locked up, and yet Lucy Connolly is locked up for words. I hate this flipping country, says Joe in Colchester. Listen, thank you, Joe, for your thoughts there. Now, we don't know that definitely led to the young man's death, to the old man's death, I should say, the poor man's death, the 92-year-old's death. What we will find that out, certainly the coroner will look at that as time goes on, and we will, of course, update you when we know that information. But